I'm Bobsto, the Outer Weeb,
And I am Red, the bald-headed wonder.
and we are the Anime Boys.
The anime
The
boys.
Anime Boys. Hell yeah. And today, this is a special day. It's the second to last episode of Mob Psycho 100.
I'm so sad. I'm
Man,
gonna cry.
I'm also pretty sad.
I'm gonna cry.
Listen, Red's super sad, and he only started watching it this year. That's testament to how good this thing is. Yeah, man. So
Anyway,
considering it's a special, we got some drinks. We're gonna
drinks.
we're gonna crack open some cold ones. Just sit down, relax, and talk about a little bit about Mob.
So, Bob Stowe, what was
So
your preferred drink?
uh,
The
I got
president
I
would
just
like
got
to know your preferred drink.
bourbon whiskey.
Bourbon
No, it's
whiskey.
I got some Angry Orchard. I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. Um, but yeah, I got me some Angry Orchard. I'm gonna sip on it throughout this episode. What about you, Red? What do you got? What you got?
Well, I don't have
Hmm?
any Angry Orchard, so I had to bust out my peach moonshine, the legal kind, of course.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
The legal kind.
it's definitely Old Smoky, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with that. It's Old Smoky Peach Moonshine, not made by anybody
The guy that made
that
it was an old
makes it.
Smoky. I just
It was Old Smoky. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. So hey, what did you think of Mob?
mm.
Well, first off, a toast to ending of this. If you haven't sipped it yet, go ahead, take a sip.
All right.
So now that's out of the way. Red, what'd you think of
Mm-hmm.
Mob?
Well, give me a sec. Oh, that was some good shit. All right. Mob.
yeah,
My
Mob.
opinion has
Thing.
definitely not changed. About
Uh-huh.
about this anime in particular, dude.
Uh-huh.
This episode, where it was paced perfectly, the
Mm-hmm.
action remained. It
Yeah.
Not a single moment was I sitting, or not, excuse me, let me rephrase. There wasn't a single moment where I wasn't on the edge of my seat watching this
Uh-huh.
episode. And I'm pretty sure you could vouch for it because as we were watching it, I
Oh
was
yeah.
constantly oohing and ahhing the whole time.
We were both like some kids at like a fireworks
We were like
festival, just
some
sitting
like
back
Adderall
and
addicted children in a candy store, is what we
yeah,
were.
we're like ooh, ooh, ooh. It's like fucking
Oh my
a couple of
god, that was
like
so
like
cool.
like a couple of fucking chimps. Yeah, yeah, I was sitting there ooh and
So
ah and ooking. Yeah,
obviously,
man.
and you know, I kind of want to hit this episode in a different stride than usual. Okay,
Yeah.
and what I mean by that is that I just first of all want to hit how it made me feel. Okay, for one,
Hmm.
holy shit, I'm pretty sure that just says it all.
This is
Um,
holy shit. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate.
the
Like,
beginning of it when Ritsu flees the meeting because he can sense his brother, right?
yeah, he senses a disturbance in the force.
You start to understand the connection and brotherly, bond that they have now
Hmm.
that they're both psychics. Um, there's a lot to there's a lot to compress in such a 30-minute time frame that most people just don't pick up on. So like when I say that, and I'm sure you did, but in an instance where he felt his brother from like miles away,
Hmm.
completely over flooded with emotion and
Yeah.
just obstruction of his former self, it really
Hmm.
just hits you like, dude, they have just a really awesome
They have a really good
connection.
connection.
But with that brief little short tidbit that we got to see with him leaving his school council meeting so fast,
Hmm.
it when it it cuts off from the emotion he was showing, trying to rush over to his brother, into
Hmm.
the actual intro, right? So we get the
Yeah.
intro. The intro goes by, and we just get a snapback from the previous episode
Hmm.
whenever he was about to attack the supermarket to he
Yeah.
fucked the supermarket.
Yeah.
um
So, with another thing with Ritsu, I wanted to say is I like how in the scene with when he starts rushing out, at first he's like, "Oh shit, did he get rejected? Does he,
yeah,
if he must have reached out?" And then he gets to
exactly.
like the side of the crash, and he's like, "Oh
It's
no,
it,
something's happened here,
well,
but I don't know what."
essentially that comes a little bit later.
Yeah.
I think it comes right after the
Does it?
supermarket scene. But
Maybe I don't know, because when the supermarket scene happens, that's when the boss immediately comes. Now there's a scene with
uh
him after, but that's way after he's found out that something's happened with
yeah,
Mob.
you're right.
Yeah.
So he finds the scene of where he got hit by the stupid driver.
Yeah,
The
man.
guy
Just
who decided to run over God.
imagine being a regular ass dude and you weren't paying attention to the road. You accidentally hit at some kid and you thought you hit some kid, but in reality, you hit God.
To be
And now the
fair,
apocalypse is on your hands. You have to live with that for
imagine
the rest of your life.
imagine how bad of a luck that you have to run over God.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
God in the
Yeah,
form of
there's
a what I think he's like 12, a 12-year-old kid.
he's like 12 or 13. He's a middle schooler. He's like about to be in high
It's
school, so yeah.
crazy. But when he finds I like how everybody just immediately assumed he got rejected where he hadn't
Yep.
even gotten there yet.
Mm-mm.
The we got little tidbits, and we'll get more in depth with it later, of his new self only being dedicated to his feelings as a whole. Like his strict emotions are showing in this
Hmm.
one side that he can't control, that he had been
Yeah.
pushing back. And we'll get more
So
into it
with
later.
we'll get more into it later, but hey, so fucking Koyama and Sakurai is at their destroyed supermarket. This shows how far fucking Koyama's come since season one. Because the first one he's like
Ooh,
this
yeah.
crazy asshole, but here he's like fucking apologizing to Sakurai about the shop being destroyed and freaking out about the shop. Um, but as soon as before they can come in and start the fight, uh, Mr. fucking Big Boss Man himself comes in from his Fortnite drop, and he's about to go to the mob. He's like,
And when
hey
we
kid,
say Fortnite drop,
I'm about to show you what happened in Tomato Town, son.
when we say to when we I almost said tomato drop. When we say Fortnite drop,
Yeah,
we
man.
mean this man goes
Yeah, dude.
in chrome dome first into the fucking pavement, and
Yeah,
then
dude.
just rises up out of the smoke like nothing
Yeah,
happened.
man.
Like he didn't
Listen,
just eat the concrete on his way down.
yeah. No, man. Psychic power is like the best way to break your fall.
Bro, when the ball showed up, okay,
Yeah,
so here's my emotions. Or this is how I felt. I
yeah.
thought the whole episode was going to be this big, epic, obscene, just fucking budgeted fight
Hmm.
ever, right? I thought it was going to be the greatest fight ever. To my disappointment, this man got pounded.
Yeah.
This
So
man
like
got so fucked that he didn't know which way was sideways. I mean,
uh-huh.
as
He fuck.
he
He,
approaches Mob, he's so
hmm.
confident. It's so stupid. He's
It's
so
like, oh man,
confident.
I'm sure I fought you once. I'm sure I could take you on.
And we just
Fucking
get
goes in, tries to fucking punch the shit out of him. He wells on Mob super hard, but Mob's just not phased.
at
And in
all.
fact,
Man's not
he's
moving.
the one that ends up bleeding, not Mob.
It's it's really funny how arrogant and cocky he was at the beginning
Yeah.
and how fast that turned. This man
Hmm.
went from, I know that you can't control yourself, but this is going to hurt, to, holy shit, this man did
So holy
not.
shit, man.
This man just busted up my knuckles and I didn't even
Yeah.
get to touch him. Like
And
this.
I like this one quote. Oh, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, no, you're good.
Okay, no, I like there's a scene after he fucking Wells and Mob. Starts talking about how, oh, it's great, Mob, that you stopped holding yourself back. However, it doesn't feel like I'm fighting the same person.
Right. He realizes
And he's like,
that this is
he,
not who Mob wants to
this is
be.
not the same. This is not the same person he fought
Well,
back in season two.
I guess if I had psychic powers and I got ran over and I had the powers of a god, I think I'd react the same way. Like,
Uh-huh.
but given
Yeah.
that, okay, so he's sitting here trying to fight Mob, and every time he goes in, Mob literally just, oh my gosh, this part was really cool because he started powering up, and we got to the part where he goes in to confront Mob, and after he gets done punching Mob, Mob explodes
Yep.
spontaneously, and it
Hmm.
really wasn't even a powered up attack. It was just a ward of sorts
Yeah.
that pushed him away into this big fucking building that collapsed on top of him. And
Hmm.
man, and whenever he started getting sunk in all this rubble, the boss, I was just like,
Yeah. He
no way
gets
that's this one sided. I mean, I get Mob
he.
is super duper fucking powerful, but this is not the same man that was fighting
Yeah.
Mob at the end of season two. Like,
Uh-huh.
no
Well,
way.
he's been imprisoned for however long it's been, and also given his power is he absorbs psychic energy from other people and siphons it. All you gotta think about, all that energy was released in season two,
I get
so
that.
he's significantly weaker because of it.
That's fair,
Um,
but
that was the culmination of him absorbing energy off of people for years and
that
years.
which is strange that the years of collection of his powers was just so
Hmm.
feebly humbled by a kid who wasn't even in his final form.
Hmm.
To think that Mob is this fucking powerful scares me
Yeah.
and is very glad that I don't live in
Well,
that town.
the thing, yeah, man, that fucking again. I said it when we were watching. It's like this poor town is fucking had a terrorist attack, a psychic terrorist attack, like a few weeks ago.
And then
The
had
fucking
them
nuke, yeah, a fucking
overtaken.
huge ass nuke explosion, and now,
And
and now
then
it's
then
being
got taken
destroyed
over.
by.
No, then it got took over by a random broccoli plant that
Then it
wanted to
got
be
taken over
God.
by. Exactly,
And
because of the
now
dimple, and now
Mob
the fucking the savior of the people in their eyes is fucking now
Psycho
just
Helmet,
destroying the Lord Psycho Helmet. They must have pissed off Psycho Helmet. Damn,
because
he
they were
must have
false
done something
worshiping
wrong.
him. They were false worshiping
Yeah, man.
Psycho Helmet, so he
He's like,
got
Mom's just
mad.
like, you know what? Yeah, fuck y'all. You guys were worshiping the wrong one.
Mob got piss baby mad. He was just like,
You
nah,
got
nah. You hoes wanted
but
to
what
y'all wanted to worship somebody else. Yeah, worship these nuts, bitch.
what makes this version so scary is that it's all of Mob's inhibitions are released.
Yes,
Like he's
it's
a full-on force of nature, and
but
the
we
difference
this
being
gets this
is
gets more
uh,
this gets more told later in the
later.
next fight. So I would hold off on this
Hmm.
on that part.
Yeah,
Um, you
but
are
what
right.
was
I wasn't
what I
disagreeing
was
with you.
yeah, no, I know. But I was wanting to add as the last part is what makes it different is in the previous episode, previous times it happened when he's knocked unconscious, eventually he'd come to after a few minutes.
Hmm.
Here,
This
he's
man's just
fucking dead.
he's not
He
really
this is
dead. He's just getting pushed back by his
Yeah,
other self,
by
which
his yeah. He may as well be he's mostly dead.
right. And I'm trying
So
my best to
yeah,
hold my tongue on this
yeah,
next part because man, I've
yeah.
almost let it slip several times.
So
But what
Boss Man gets fucking Ramachrid.
yeah, this man's getting just sunken in rubble and all of a sudden we think it's over, right? And then
Yeah.
man, to our surprise, we get show. Sho shows up,
Yeah.
which is the boss's son, with a
Hmm.
new sick leather jacket, looking like he
Yeah,
came
man.
fresh out of Greece. My man standing tall, digging his daddy out of the rubble, saying, look here, old man, get off your ass. Let's smoke some
the time
grass. And
the
the
time
time
is
is
now, old
now.
man. Hell yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad we. It's John Cena. Blah, blah, my time is now.
Dude, this part was
So
so like uplifting with the development between the relationship between them two.
yeah.
Given that he pulls his dad out of the rubble and they are working together, father son, in order to take down Mob. Or at this point, excuse me, let me rephrase. They're not trying to take down Mob. They're trying to
Hmm.
hold back Mob and give some time for him to basically decompress all that built up energy,
Uh.
which to their knowledge they think they can do, but they are very sorely mistaken and get shown that with the next
Oh.
few
Oh man.
instances of the fight.
Yeah.
So they both
So
use their
do
superpowers. I'm
the,
sorry, I'm not
the
trying to cut you
question
off.
is because after show comes in, we get cut back to get the scene where it cuts back to Ritsu.
Hmm.
Do we want to talk about the fight first, then talk about the scene with Ritsu?
I think we need to do that because the Ritsu stuff, I
Okay,
feel
talk
like
about the
we
first
just
because that
need
that
to
shit
cover
that shit.
fully.
Okay, okay, we'll
Um,
do that then. So
it's
yeah,
like I
so
said, I
they
wanted to take a different pace with this episode because there was
okay,
just so much going on. I say
okay,
we take
so yeah,
one
well,
scene and move on, and we'll cover the other characters as we move on.
okay, okay.
Um,
So Mob gets comboed the fuck out
Dude, Mob
by
is
Show
getting
and
the Wombo combo, you in the wrong
he's
hood combo move.
yeah, dude, he's getting beaten left and right, drugged through a fucking water tower.
This man,
Camera's doing some fucking mappa shit
dude,
where it's like rotating,
it's
going around.
fucking awesome, dude. Like they're just doing these wild moves so fast you can't see them, and they hit Mob so hard that the balls expand.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen that
and
video, Bob Stowe, but it's so stupid. Of it's just like this. I can't remember the name of the actual like what's going on, but it's basically they're using air pressure and water pressure at the same time to push out all the dents within a sphere, and
yeah,
it gets turned into this just round ball. And the whole thing of it is it was in this big documentary, and the literal words that they use is the ball is expanded.
the ball thinks it's big. Hell yeah.
It's so funny.
Um,
I'll have to show you later, but
but as they're willing on him, something rather interesting happens. Mob starts to hesitate, as if like basically as if like he's starting to try to take control back.
yeah, this is
And
really cool.
it's so I got a really good note for this. It might not be fully accurate, but I still think it's very apt. And that is, as his corpse rages on, his soul can only silently scream in terror.
And essentially you're somewhat right. He
Yeah,
is screaming within himself,
yeah,
but it's more or less a scream of agony trying to control
yeah,
himself because it takes so
yeah,
much energy to do. Which that's
hmm,
just the way I look on it, but it
yeah,
can be interpreted in different ways, I believe.
hmm.
Um, but given that, he's standing there,
Either
he's
way,
fighting
he's
himself.
fearful of what his body might do, and he's desperately
Mhm.
wanting the boss and show to stop him.
Right. And the boss and show, they finally realize that this ain't happening. They can't
Yeah,
hold him back for time. The boss gives up and he's like, look, there's only one way to end this, and I have to do what he did to me. I have to
yeah,
suck up all of his energy all at once and remove
hmm,
myself in order to save everyone else. So this
hmm,
man is basically going
yeah,
to sacrifice himself the same way
yeah.
Mob tried to sacrifice himself in season
Hmm.
2.
Oh man, and I fucking love this. So as he walks up to
This
like
is
try to do it,
such a good scene.
all of
There's
a
so
sudden
much going on
it
in this
it
episode.
cuts to this visualization of him in his business suit walking through a door. the door representing basically him walking to his death and leaving, turning his back on his family for good.
Right.
And it echoes back to how he turned his back on his family back when he was still a villain.
Yeah.
And he decides at that moment, you know what, no, at this point with where I'm at, it's not worth sacrificing myself because it means turning my back on my family for
Exactly.
once again.
I loved the development
And
that they stuck with
yeah.
from season 2 because he gave himself up to the law in
Hmm.
order to save himself from what he had become for his family.
Hmm.
And
And
man, it was such a good
yeah,
little
it's
like
so
father son
so
bonding
good.
moment.
He literally he just goes up. He's like, "Well, show, can you give me a shoulder?"
Yeah.
And they just fucking they start walking out.
Let's
And man,
flee. And I love this part because it goes from them standing there, he grabs his dad's shoulder, it pans back over to
hmm,
Mob, and then it does a pan of just an outward motion showing the whole area. The
yeah,
area is just completely demolished, but
hmm,
Show and the boss just dip. Like they are no longer
yeah,
there. Like they dipped in an instant almost.
hmm,
They just instant transmissioned away. And
yeah. They just fucking get the fuck out of there. It's like, oh man. Um, but I'm kind of glad that so we both of us was kind of expecting a full on fucking battle royale with slaughter and shit. But
yeah,
to be
but
honest, with what comes after and what will probably be the culmination of like the climax of this arc within the next and last episode,
mm,
it's going to be a lot more fulfilling
how much do you want
than
to bet
just
that
that.
Mob will end up in jail after this?
I'm not so sure. We'll have to see. But anyways, meanwhile, all while this is happening, we get this scene with Ritsu, where he's trying to get over to
Man.
Mob, and we basically get to learn more about the incident that caused Mob to shut himself away.
Yeah.
Because basically, when Mob was younger, he loved showing his powers to people,
Yeah.
and he'd do so very openly.
He
Ritsu's
was
talking about how
very
Mob would be happy, sad, he'd get mad.
like he openly
Every
like released his emotions constantly.
he was open, and
He was just a normal
he
kid.
was very healthy. He's just a normal kid, as you would be. But after that incident, that's when Mob started to close himself off, not show his powers to people,
And for anybody who
bottle up his
hasn't
emotions
for anybody
out
who
of.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you
I'm
continue.
not trying to
No,
cut you
no,
off.
oh no, it's all good. But like out of fear of hurting people, and all of that trauma and fear culminates into basically like this dark side of himself where all that, even though the bottled emotions are released after 100, they still build into this like dark form of himself,
Right.
which is the question mark form basically.
Essentially, that's basically what it
It
is right
is
now. And we get more
all of
information
his.
about who the question mark is in just a few minutes, and it's
if
going to be so
if
good.
if um if anything, it's like in Jujutsu Kaisen terms, it's Mob's curse.
Yeah, it's
Basically,
100%.
it
It's
is the embodiment of all his insecurities and negative emotions.
think about I can't remember his damn name from Jujutsu Kaisen. That is sad.
Let me.
Yuji's demon essentially.
Yeah. Oh, Sukuna.
Yeah, Sukuna is to Yuji as this new form is to Mob
Hmm.
in a different sense, but the same sense
Yeah.
all the same. You know, like they live
Hmm.
within one body, but they
Yeah.
are essentially two different people. Uh, which makes Mob just have a split personality at sorts.
Yeah. But yeah,
Um,
no, I love that we actually got like an explanation for what exactly it is.
and it comes after this really awesome scene. So
Uh huh.
as we get this, little snippet of him and Ritsu, before we really get deep into what was going on in that scene, we get the body. He comes closer to the bridge in the scene. He's
Yes.
just continuing from where he was, and as he was continuing about to get to the bridge, The Body Improvement Club shows up.
Fucking Tomo Squad
The
shows up.
Tomo
They're
Squad
here.
shows
Like,
up.
yo, mob, it's not safe. Come on, we need to get back to the gym. Come on, you just snap out of it, buddy. The fucking huge ass gust of wind blows.
Blows their
Thankfully,
fucking school
uh,
uniforms
thank,
off.
thankfully they've come prepared
Oh yeah.
because they have their fucking training clothes underneath their school uniform.
Right. So as their school uniforms get ripped off, all we get is them and their Body Improvement Club gym clothes. And at this point, they start realizing that, okay, Mob's lost it. It's crazy he has this much power. We never saw him
Mhm.
having this much power because everybody is oblivious to Mob's fucking psychic abilities. Um, then all of a sudden, they are like, okay, we have to come together. We have to stop him using the power of the Tomo. And so they
Uh-huh.
all we just get this ultimate fucking flex scene of all of them. They're just
Mhm.
flexing it up, and they're just like their motto pops in like Body Improvement Club, fight on,
Fight
and
on, fight on.
fight on, and they're
Yeah,
rushing in, right? They're going straight in on Mob
yeah.
to no avail, at all. They get
Nope.
fucked super hard, super fast, no consent. They get blown
Almost,
off like a
almost,
fucking
almost
fly.
die.
Yeah, and the only one of them rather, because the rest of them are just piled up in a
Yeah.
pile as Mob starts
Mhm.
to. This was a really cool scene. This is why I didn't want to skip over it. Um,
Mhm.
the other guy goes to punch Mob, right? And this is the bald guy in the Body Improvement Club. I don't remember his name, but
Yeah.
it's not that important. He goes to
He looks
punch
like
him.
Connie from Attack on Titan,
Yeah,
but
and
buff.
Mob catches his fist, right? And this man is
Uh-huh.
so sincere towards Mob to the point that he's not afraid of Mob like most people
Mhm.
are. He simply just tells Mob like, this is crazy. Just can you at some point recollect your old self and just turn back to normal, please?
Mhm.
For us. And it was so sincere and so
Yeah.
so like I wouldn't say depressing, but like heartwarming.
Yeah.
That this was his
Would
approach to get
would.
Mob back to normal.
Mhm.
And
I was gonna Oh no, you go. I'm sorry.
with that sentiment, Mob didn't catch any of it. I'm sure his inner self did, but we didn't see it.
Mhm.
But Mob just flings him off, right? And he's going flying through the air, and right before he hits the bridge with his head, which would have killed him,
Mhm.
he just gets stopped last second.
Yeah.
And who is it?
And in this corner, at about 5'6", Ritsu Kageyama.
Kageyama!
Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble. This
Yeah,
dude
man.
stops him last second, right? And just lays him gently with the other pile of the Tomo squad. And
Hmm.
this scene, this is where I thought it was going to cut off, to be honest. I really
Yeah,
thought it
it
was
would
going to
have been
cut
a good
off
cutoff
here.
point,
It would have,
but
but it's still
I'm glad it
good.
didn't.
Oh my gosh, it was so good
Hmm.
because as he was trying to talk to Mob, right? He
Hmm.
is slowly, increasingly walking towards Mob and telling Mob, which what we described earlier, telling him that
Yeah,
he doesn't have to be afraid to express his
yeah.
emotions with him.
You
He
don't.
said, "I've
You
been
don't have.
afraid of this moment for years,
Hmm.
but I'm your big brother, and it's what I'm here to do."
No, little brother.
Or
He's
little
his little
brother,
brother.
excuse me, little brother,
Yeah.
and that's
You
I'm
know,
here
the
for
mom's the
you.
big brother.
I didn't mean to say big brother. I'm
Yeah.
your little
That's because I
brother.
know it's because he's way taller
Well,
than
no,
him.
like I
So
didn't mean to say big
yeah,
brother. It just
yeah.
slipped out.
But yeah,
But
but
little brother, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. And he starts
hmm
slowly walking toward him as Mob is just growing increasingly
just
angrier.
strong, angrier. Yeah,
Mob on the inside is screaming at Ritsu not to come towards
yeah,
him. Like, just
yeah.
go away. Everyone else, he wanted them to fight him, to defeat him. But
Hmm.
Ritsu, he tells him to stop. Don't come any
Hmm.
closer. And that's the cool part about they didn't leave out that dynamic of that brotherly protection with Ma being the older
Yeah.
brother and wanting to take that
Hmm.
responsibility of wanting to protect his brother. He doesn't want his brother to risk himself
Yeah.
in order to try to stop him, which is so cool. Like it's
Hmm.
I think the biggest
Uh,
thing in this episode for me was the relationship barrier between everyone that shows up.
yeah, no, it's great, and that's one thing I like. It's like so each different arc, Mob overcomes some kind of adversity or struggle. Usually, it involves both a literal threat and some kind of interpersonal threat as well.
Right.
And I like how the culmination of it into this final arc is, well, of course, it had to be Mob has to face himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And man, it's this entire scene on the bridge was so fucking good. Everything from basically Ritsu going, "Hey, you don't have to shoulder your trauma or carry that weight anymore.
Exactly.
You can be open once again." And there's another cool thing where he was thinking back to the day of the accident and how he feels like both, yeah, not only did he feel like he should have said something to set Mob's mind at ease, but he also feels like Mob himself was afraid to say something as well.
Right.
And
And
it's such
it's
a
such a good
good
tender
fucking
moment.
scene.
But with all this going on, Ritsu, as he gets closer to Mob, he realizes that he's not going to reach through to him. He's too far
Hmm.
gone. And he says, I hate to do this, but the only way to cure you is to help you with your trauma and push you into
Hmm.
it. And as he's doing this, he attacks the flower bouquet.
Hmm.
And he does manage to hit the bouquet with his powers.
Yeah.
And wait, was this before or after?
No, I think this is after the
Okay.
thing that happened. So I
So
mean, so first I think he starts trying to just hold him back with his powers, and then all of a sudden he gets wrapped up,
so
and
okay,
as he's
before
talking to
before we get
our
into that moment, we start seeing a counter.
we start seeing a counter through scene, and both me and
Blows my
Red were
mind.
like, well shit,
He's
is
not at
is
his
is
100%
Mob
yet. Like
is
Mob's
Mob
just
not 100? Is he
like
still going up? And it keeps going up. It's going up quick. Every time Ritu says something, it keeps going up. I think this is around the time whenever he's thinking back to the day of the accident with about him saying he should have said something.
right.
And as it's going up, once it hits 100, what does it fucking say, Red? It's,
Oh man, it goes.
it's
It's Ritsu's 100
it's
fucking percent.
Ritu's 100.
Ritsu hits his potential to compare with his brother to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Um, at this very singular moment in time, and I say singular
yeah.
moment as in a millisecond, Ritsu is just as strong as Mob in this form for a
Hmm.
singular moment in
Yeah.
time.
And he's like, I think I'm sorry, I'm going to apply some kind of shock to you, and I think I know what exactly it is.
And he
And he
he, he goes
immediately
straight for the
goes for the
bouquet
bouquet.
and does manage to break it. He starts to break it apart. And this is what was
Yeah.
really cool. Mob feels that, right? This version of Mob
Hmm.
feels that. And he grabs the bouquet out of the midair with his powers, forces it back and mends it back
Yeah, and that's why like
together.
he tries to fix it, but it's still torn up slightly. It's
Yeah.
not fully fixed.
Yeah, it's just so cool here because he
Hmm.
pushes all the flowers back in. He slightly fixes the paper around the bouquet and he protects it with the orb that he used with my
Hmm.
boy Terry or Terry, whoever you want to pronounce him as. Um
Yeah.
and as he does that, Ritsu immediately starts going full power mode onto the orb and
Yeah,
he
and
starts
I
punching this
love how it
orb.
looks
It
when he
does.
starts hitting
It
it.
looks like he took his fist and hit the orb, but he didn't. It was using his
Yeah.
psychic powers to do so, which was incredible. It was so well
Hmm.
animated. It looked fucking beautiful. And then as he started to break that orb or that barrier around the bouquet, Mob became absolutely furious. And at this
Oh, dude,
point,
he became so mad. A
holy
fucking
shit, bro.
tornado started to
No, no, no,
form.
bro. Not a tornado. A fucking twister. Like that shit was
So,
on
yeah.
next level huge, man. Like, and at this
Uh-huh.
point, we get this awesome POV shot of
Oh yeah,
Ritsu.
with Riku getting flung, like
Ritsu
getting
gets
bitch whipped up into the
flung
air.
up in the air, right? And you can see his feet tumbling
Yeah.
above his head. He's going backwards all the way up in the air. And he starts falling down. All in POV. He's blinking and shit. It looks amazing. That camera was incredible to look at.
Mhm.
That angle was just so it reminded you, like you said with Mappa. It just reminded me
Yeah.
really, really, really so much of what they do with their camera angles in Mappa.
Mm-hmm.
But as Bob Stowe said, it created this huge ass fucking twister, but
Towards
we don't realize that we only see it because it cuts over to a
because it
news channel.
it's fucking I fucking love this montage where
It's
you get this like it's like this news report and it just starts slowly cutting to about just about everybody that Mob has encountered throughout the series
they have a
watching the
helicopter shot
videos.
on one of them, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Of
Mm-hmm.
where he started to where he's at now, and how much
Mm-hmm.
destruction has followed behind him, and it looks amazing how much
Mm-hmm.
he is just barreled through just because he's walking. For Christ's sake, this man's just
Yeah.
walking, and he's just blowing everything up.
The we've already seen it with like the amount of pressure. We already seen it in the last episode of like how much pressure his powers is leaving and like the
Right?
radius of that pressure.
Yeah.
And it's like damn, it's almost like being in like a fucking like a deep sea chamber almost.
It's
Like in a
fucking
fucking pressure
so
chamber.
cool. So given with all these like different news like montage like different segments of the city, we even get a moment where Sabomi is looking at the Twister from the park
Yeah,
where
man.
they're supposed to meet.
Fucking
Um
fucking ballsy on her part. Damn.
yeah, dude, she's just standing next to
She
a giant fucking
she gives
Twister.
she gives no
She
fucks.
really doesn't. And we also get a picture or like a frame where Ritsu's just laying on the ground, perfectly fine, might I add. Just staring up at staring up at the sky. And all of a sudden, we get a pan over to Reagan. I said Reagan.
Uh Ray, Reagan and Sarazawa gonna go
Reagan
up
and
and try to
Serizawa. And we just get this little moment where it sets up for the next episode, essentially.
yeah.
And it's super
And
cool.
then he's got a new umbrella. He's got a new umbrella.
Bro, yeah, it's look cool as shit too.
Uh-huh.
It was the same color and everything, but it just the way he popped it out and he was just ready to fight was absolutely incredible.
Hmm.
But given all that, we finally get a aspect of this other side that me and Bob Stowe
Oh,
were just
dude.
mesmerized
Okay,
over.
this fucking scene is so good. So like we start off, Mob's in his mind void, and he's sitting there. He's got the cool ass blue outline still, and all of a
Mm.
sudden, this ball, like a ball of like squiggly lines, shows up.
I
And it's like
thought this was
pulsing.
going to be Dimple at first.
I also thought it was going to be Dimple at first,
Okay, I'm glad we were
but
on the
then
same page, bro.
but then it unravels into this really cool white outlined version of Mob,
It was so fucking cool,
and
bro.
basically is trying to fight for dominance over Mob's body,
Mm.
and it's so good. So like
They were
basically, it
going
sees
back and forth.
yeah, it sees him as an imposter, as if like Mob is the fake one and he's the real one.
But that goes into another like segment of Mob.
Hmm.
Okay, who technically is the real Mob? Okay, so the
Hmm.
reason I say that, and I have my own theory behind it, you can you can talk about it in a minute or say I'm
Yeah,
wrong. I don't care. But
you're wrong.
this is this is
Go
just
on.
how I look at it. Okay,
Yeah.
so Mob took it upon himself to take on responsibility that he was not rightly entitled to. And entitled is a weird word to use, but it's essentially where
Yeah.
I'm going with it. He entitled himself with the responsibility of everyone else on the planet, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so given that Mob was never able to like freely express himself the way that Mob needed to express himself, and this
Yeah.
is the other side of Mob that is actually expressing his true devotion to his emotions and
Yeah.
his thoughts and his feelings. So
Hmm.
it has the line of who is the real Mob? Is this
Yeah.
just the Mob that he wanted to be? Or is it the
Hmm.
Mob that he needs to be? It's
Hmm.
as devastating and as explosive as this Mob is, it
Hmm.
could be the true nature of Mob. And I think
Yeah.
it's just an incredible dynamic between two, because
Hmm.
you can't put blame, or not blame, you can't put a measure on which one's which.
Yeah. The answer I'd say is definitely probably somewhere in the middle. It's definitely, I think this is fully stemming from the fact that, so this outlined version of him is definitely like, from the language used, is the embodiment of his powers. Like, you got two different sides. You got the powers, and you
His
got, Mob
powers
himself.
or his
So because
emotions?
the powers are tied to his emotions, so it'd be both.
It's only tied to his
So,
emotions because he
mhm,
withdrew his emotions a long time ago, and he's been
mhm,
building up his emotions.
because of his
So
powers.
are emotions directly tied to the powers,
I would
or
I would
did
say to some
he
extent.
himself believe they were tied to the powers? Because
Hmm.
everyone else uses powers freely.
Hmm.
Every other psychic uses their powers as in a weapon or a different appendage that extends from themselves, right?
Hmm.
It's more of a weapon that they can use, or a tool. It's like putting a hammer in my hand, and that is now a part of me.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that his emotions are strictly tied to his powers. I believe that he wants his powers to be strictly tied to his
Hmm.
emotions, because he can then strangle
Hmm.
his emotions down and keep those powers from withdrawing
Yeah.
in order to, create a higher self for him,
Hmm.
his own mind frame. And that's just
Hmm.
roughly speaking about it. And that's just my own opinion.
Yeah. But like, this thing is taken on everything, including his desires for Sabomi, which is what was felt right there at that moment. So that's what it's dead set focused on.
Exactly.
And fucking Mob's like, yeah, but don't fucking like destroy shit. Like, damn, man, come on. It's being kind of
Kind of being
it's being
overboard.
kind of being kind of sussy there. You need to stop that shit, man. It's like, nah, listen, you can just fucking go away, what have you. I will be you. I will take over. It'll all be Gucci. You'll see. I'll get Sabomi. It'll be nice. I already got names for our kids, so you can just fuck right off.
I can do
Yeah,
whatever I want, and I'm
I can
going to
do.
do whatever I want.
I do what I want.
And whether you like it or not, as soon as you crack and peel away, I will
Hmm.
be the embodiment of Mob.
Yeah,
And this was the coolest part. His skin on the Mob that we've seen
it's
throughout the 3 seasons is starting to crack. And a piece
starting
of
to crack.
himself peels off of Mob's cheek and then floats away over to the outline of this new embodiment of Mob and
Hmm.
sticks to him.
And sticks to it, and it's like,
And
oh shit. So that's what's gonna happen if
it was so good.
hmm
That was so good. This episode slapped.
So
Like,
it did, and I can't wait to see how this ends and what exactly happens. Because, oh man,
this
it's gonna.
episode really made me think more about Mob.
Hmm.
And I think that's what they've been building up this whole time. And
Hmm.
man, it is just so good. I cannot wait to
Yeah,
see the finale.
same here. So from what we've seen so far, I have a feeling the big thing is going to be him versus himself.
Oh, dude, yeah, definitely. I think there's
That
just going to be this big
and
implosion of just
mhm.
within his brain, and it's going to be fucking amazing.
It's gonna be really, really fucking interesting, especially dialogue wise, because I feel like not only will this be very, very high, super action oriented, but there's gonna be a lot of good dialogue in it as well,
Oh yeah,
with a lot of
definitely.
substance. Other thing I'm wondering is if this might, what might be help out will be some form of, I guess I mentioned it when we were watching it, like of like almost the worldwide spirit bomb,
Oh yeah.
where basically all of Mob's loved ones will like call out to him or like put energy towards him or something.
I don't know if
Except
that's how
not
it's gonna play
fully.
out.
We will see, but regardless, whatever the fuck's about to happen,
It
whatever.
I feel like they do that, it's gonna be a cop out because that's
Yeah,
exactly what happened in how he escaped his other like ethereal like experience with what was
yeah.
his name. So I feel like that's just
hmm
gonna be a
Well,
huge cop out.
that one was Mob remembering those he's made connections with.
Yeah, but that
This
was
one
the
would be,
same
yeah.
essential response if they do it in the last. I would be slightly disappointed if they did that.
hmm
Which I wouldn't hate it. It would
Yeah.
just be. I feel like myself. I feel like it would be just somewhat of a cop out.
hmm
Um, but we'll see. I've said a lot of
So
things
we'll
about
see,
this
but that
series. This,
definitely
yeah. I
whatever is about to happen, I'm sure is going
but
to be fucking sick of shit.
honestly, I've said everything that has stuck to my mind about this episode. Bob Stowe, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nah, this is like so. Like I will say, so when I started the series, when I started Mob Psycho 100, what I really really loved about it was the fact that it is very much not just like it's just a it's wacky action show, but it's so like deep and thoughtful with like character development, introspection,
Dude,
and whatnot. And basically, characters, especially Mob, we go from the entire series where at first he's this blank slate, and throughout the series, even though it's very slow and gradual, he starts to actually make friends. He starts to
he starts coming into
find
his own.
motivation,
Like,
coming to his own, becoming his own person, making his own decisions and whatnot.
and I,
And we got a whole bunch of that in season two.
oh yeah, and
And
season
here,
3,
yeah,
even fucking. I think it's more or less in season 3. He's not really developing himself with new friends. It's he
yeah.
is extenuating, and so
Um,
he's
I guess
basically.
the best way to put it is this: a lot of the themes in this season is Mob thinking about his future,
I would either
and
put it in a sense of that or being able to fight with himself. So like he's
yeah,
trying to figure out now that he has friends and he's developing relationships. I think he's finally putting himself
yeah,
first for the first time in his life within this season.
and he's also gonna definitely the big thing that this is leading up to is him overcoming his insecurities and trauma.
Exactly. I
Him
100%
him
agree.
coming him pulling through that.
But
And oh man, whatever's about to happen,
it's
I
gonna
can't
happen,
wait. And
bro.
I'm
Oh my
out of,
gosh.
like I said, like I really love One Punch Man, but this like Mob Psycho 100 just hits differently.
It does. It just hits you in
There's
a
something
different.
about it.
Well, I think it's just the emotional scale of it is just it
Yeah.
hits you a bit different
Oh,
than
it's
anything
fucking
else.
massive.
It is. It's
Like
it's
One Punch Man had a good bit of that, but here it's just like, damn, it's like way on like a much bigger scale,
yeah.
and it's been a fucking wild ride, and it makes me sad to see it end.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? Not everything needs to go on for a fuck ton of episodes.
No, it doesn't. I'm really glad that they're bringing it to an end to depending on how they end it. Like it
hmm
deserves to have the ending that it gets. Regardless of how I think about it, I think it's going to be good. I mean,
Yeah,
um but given that,
given
it's
that.
I can't wait for the next episode.
Yep.
We pretty much discussed this episode of its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to discuss the last one with
I
you.
can't. I can't wait. That's gonna be fucking awesome.
It's gonna be sick.
I
So,
can't.
given that,
Can't fucking wait.
Bob Stowe, want to take us away?
Yeah. Well, hey. If you've liked this video, give us a like, comment, maybe
Yeah.
even subscribe. I mean, hey,
Subs-
listen, you're not subscribed. Look at this dude.
you're not.
Look at this kid.
You're, you're you're
He
not
be looking like
subscribed.
that fucking. Looking like that kid from the fucking Game Awards. Come on,
Looking
man.
like the monster from Goonies. Come on, bro.
Looking
Like,
like yeah, man. You don't want to
look,
be sloth, do you?
you're looking like.
Granted, sloth's pretty fucking awesome, but still, you don't want to
Come on.
be him,
You
do
know
you?
you guys want to hit that button like Mike hit that dunk.
Or when Airbud tossed that pigskin.
Yeah, or when Airbud,
Yeah,
grabbed a basketball, or when
when he grabbed
Airbud
that
played
basketball.
soccer, or when Airbud
He's
played
he's grabbed
hockey.
Airbud's grabbed a lot of balls and pucks.
Bring it in clutch like the crap, I can't remember the name of that fucking movie. The Mighty Ducks. That was it. That's
The
where I
Mighty
was going
Ducks,
with it.
yeah.
Bring it
Yeah,
in
man.
clutch for the Mighty
But
Ducks
hey,
victory.
yeah, give us a little subscribe and whatnot. And other than that, hey, I'm Bobsto, the Odor Weeb,
And I'm Red, the bald-headed wonder.
and you just got done watching the Anime Boys.
The anime
The Anime
boys.
Boys. We see
See
y'all
ya.
next week, and see ya.
Peace.
Peace.